What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and as promised, we're taking a break from our top 10 magic items for the various classes for 5th edition to give you a holiday shopping guide to get some gifts for your favorite D&D or RPG fan out there. I thought it made more sense to do this. I think last time I did this, last year, it was 4 days before Christmas, so that really didn't help anybody who was looking to shop for any holidays. It was way too late in the game, so I wanted to get out here technically before we start the month of December to possibly allow you enough time to pick stuff up to give it to people as you see fit. So I don't think we really need to go through any specifics on that. It's just going to be 10. There's no specific order here, right? So we're not going to say like this number 10 is worse, number 1 is the best. It's just 10 things that I think are pretty awesome gifts that I've compiled from a variety of different locations. And I will have links in the description where possible. Those will be affiliate links, so I will benefit monetarily if you're kind enough to use one of my links. That being said, let's dive in. Number 10. D&D Trivial Pursuit. This is a new player in the market, right? It just came out maybe a week or so ago. It's $44, so it's a little on the pricier side. However, it is, from what I've heard from people who have had a chance to play it, it is a very good, very in-depth, it's all about stuff for D&D nerds, right? If you know Trivial Pursuit, then you know how it works, and you can see there's even some sample questions on one of these cards, right? What does your alignment change to if you equip the Eye of Vecna? What were the two authors of the original 1974 D&D game? And Dragonlance, the Sylvanesti and Quilnastari are what type of humanoids? Like, there are a variety of different things. It can get really, really deep in the lore. So if you have a D&D fan in your, either you or a friend that's a fan of Dungeons & Dragons and you want to test your various D&D skills, this is a pretty fun way to do it. I also would love the concept of trying to find a way to sort of build like a pub quiz trivia thing into your actual game, and then you could actually play this game sort of within the game, or at least just use the cards. Again, link in the description. Number 9. This little dice jail dunce cap thing for your D20 from the folks over at Link's Game, I just think is really kind of funny. It's a different alternative to the concept of a dice jail. Again, if you're rolling your D20 and it continues to roll poorly, some people put them in an actual dice jail or just get rid of them, put them off the table, what have you. I thought this was a little bit different, a little more interesting, right? It'll work with basically any die, right? Whether or not you want it to be a D20, a D4, or what have you. And it's just something I haven't really seen before. I just kind of really like the concept of it. And I really like the folks at Link's Gaming. They make really good products. I've reviewed a handful of their things on the channel before. By the way, nobody is sponsoring me to make this video. These are all just personal opinions of things I think would be fun gifts for the D&D fan in your life. Number 8. Some kind of D&D apparel. Now, there are a ton of companies out here that do that. I can link to the Amazon Shirt Club. This is a thing that exists where it's basically a monthly club that you basically buy whoever the person in your life that you'd like to get this for, pick their size, pick the cut of the shirt, and then essentially as long as you subscribe them to this, they're going to get a new D&D related shirt every month. I haven't really seen anybody tell me one way or another. It does have 4.5 stars for 376 ratings here on Amazon, so this might be something, but it's random, so you don't actually know what you're going to get when you get it. Whereas you could head over here to Designed by Humans and shop through a variety of their different apparel. Again, you can find art, shirts and things in a variety of different ways. In fact, you could go to, I think it's teespring.com/nerdimmersion and pick up yourself some Nerd Immersion merch if you'd like. But I hadn't seen a lot of these artworks, these styles of shirts from Designed by Humans in the wild. So there's a lot of things that I like that I haven't seen before. Just even some of these, like this Eldritch Blast one here. Even just the color scheme on this Dungeon Master shirt. There's a handful of others. The Stained Glass Beholder. I think I've seen this one out there. This kind of like pastel colored one out before. But you can see there's a variety of different ones. We have stuff dealing with the D&D cartoon. This Dad Rolls Natural 20s, so we have some dad shirts in here. You know what? Actually, I may have seen these ones where it's tied to a specific class. But either way, there's a handful of options there. And, it's best mom ever here with the D20 on it. Again, there's a lot of awesome options. So, like I said, I'll link a couple of them in the description if you want to pick them up. But I've never met anybody who's a fan of D&D that wasn't happy when they got some sort of D&D related apparel. Number 7. This dice popper from this is from Money Grubber's store, but it's just the concept of a dice popper has always been so interesting to me. I was always a huge fan of like Pop-O-Matic Trouble from back in the day, and the fact that these are, again, you can see they're very clearly 3D printed, but they're in a castle design, so it sort of fits with D&D. And I like this particular popper because it gives you options to put more than one die in, and also makes it pretty easy for you to extract them. So you could put just a singular D20 in there if you like, but as you can see here, you could put a variety of different ones in there. And I've seen a lot of people go about taking games that had some sort of dice popper and kind of extracting out the die that's in there to put in new ones. And again, as someone who has players that, regardless of how many times I put a dice box on the table, I have a big gaming table and all this stuff, they seem to constantly roll the dice off the table and onto the floor. So perhaps a dice popper is a way to limit that. And again, you could always possibly go around and get multiple, so you could have one that just is for your D20, or you could get one that you just like load up with 8d6 for your fireball or whatever you want it to be. So again, I'll link this one. There's a couple of different filament options here. We have sort of a marble stone, a gray, a golden, and a black. So I'll link those in the description as well. Number 6. So this is something I hadn't actually seen before until just recently in doing my research, are these premium book covers for a variety of D&D books. We have the Player's Handbook. We have just a generic white one. We have a purple for the DMG, blue for the Monster Manual, and red for the Dungeon Master's Guide. And these come from the folks over at Ultra Pro. I really like a lot of Ultra Pro's products, whether it be for my card games or for D&D. They actually have a wide variety of stuff that people don't typically look at. And these look great. They're basically like a book cover sleeve. Again, if you are still playing with physical books, or you still have them and you want to have a little better organization or protect those books, whether this be just, your beat up player's handbook from 2014, if you somehow managed to have one where the pages didn't fall out, or your limited edition covers that you want to still have and bring with you because you have them, but you don't want to potentially risk damaging them, you can buy this really nice looking cover to slip over it. And what I also like is each cover comes with 5 different ribbon bookmarks, as you can see. So you can slip your player's handbook or what have you into this cover, and then you have the options for, again, 5 different bookmarks, which is fantastic. And I really like these. I'm going to see if I can't reach out to the folks at Ultra Pro to see if I can't get my hands on some of these. Maybe I can bump into them at PAX Unplugged and see if I can't get one of these to at least, even if I can't keep it, to at least review and take a look at, because I think this is a really cool concept. And like I said, or if you wanted to have like your regular player's handbook, just you didn't want to shell out the money for the limited edition version, but you wanted something that just looked cooler than your traditional player's handbook. This is a statement piece. People are going to take notice of this, I think. And it's also functional. But like I said, it protects, and it also makes things a little easier to organize by using the multiple bookmarks. Number 5. Some kind of character folio. Now, again, this is something that if you're only still doing physical pen and paper, and I know for some of you that seems absurd, like, who's not doing that? But I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of folks that have switched over to purely digital platforms, and I get that. But if you are still going about using a physical character sheet, do yourself a favor and get yourself one of these Ultra Pro folios. There's a variety of different options. We've covered these in the past. They now have ones like this that are Spelljammer. They also have ones that are tied to a specific class. And interestingly enough, they even have the Artificer as a standalone one, but you can get one for whatever class you're looking for. And basically what these things do, again, I'm surprised there's really no pictures, but they have pockets on the inside. They have these couple of side load cards. Again, if you're familiar with an Ultra Pro binder that they use for for like Pokemon cards or any kind of collectible cards. They're side load sheets. They're 9 cards apiece for storing spell cards, magic item cards, whatever you might have. And then you have multiple different kind of clear plastic sheets that you can slip your character sheet in. So you can use this to protect your character sheet from snacks at the table. You can use these to protect, you can use dry erase markers or wet erase markers on them to track your hit points or what have you so you don't lose them. You can use the pockets to store handouts and whatnot. And then if you have a little bit more money to shell out, they also do make these very nice zippered folios here, the premium character folio. As you can see here, and it actually has enough room in the back, as you can see, where you could stick a D&D book inside the back cover, which probably led to what we spoke about before, the concept of just making a cover for the book itself. And I actually just wanted to show, because I actually do have one of these that Ultra Pub was nice enough to send to me a while back, and I don't know if I ever got around to reviewing it. But in my current game that I'm playing, it's kind of on and off, but my Tuesday game where I'm playing the playtest for 1D&D, I can't use D&D Beyond because the stuff's not in there. So this is where I have all of the playtest information printed for like the rogue that I'm playing. And then you can see I've got my character sheet here in these plastic sheets. Everything is all nice and protected. I can dry erase, wet erase on there. You can see I have a couple more extra sheets, and then we kind of roll into some of the magic item card sheets here. And then we also have in the back more character sheets. So you could, and then again, as you saw, you could take a full D&D book and stick it. This is also a pocket here on the top. There's a little pen loop as well, but you could take a D&D book and stick it, if I can get my fingers underneath it, up underneath there, so that you'd have access to put a whole D&D book in there. Like I said, you've got your folder here as well. So these are really, really nice. I very much enjoy this. I like having everything, and also the fact that if you want, the only thing I would say, actually, I don't think this particular one, I saw the one in the video, or in the description, showed them slipping a book in the back. I don't believe, yeah, this one doesn't come out. It just has this pocket here. So unfortunately, the one that I have doesn't have the option to slip the book in the back, which I do like. Also, mine just has a standard kind of zipper, whereas the one that I showed you that they had on Amazon has like a nice D&D related zipper. But the fact that it is something that you can zip up to help further protect this thing can take a beating. It's pretty strong. You can throw this in your backpack, drop it, and throw it around. Also, the material is kind of like a vinyl, so I imagine this would be, not 100% waterproof, but, at least water resistant. So I'm a big fan of the character folios. If you're going to play pen and paper, it's better to just have something to store it. And then also, it's a lot harder to lose, scratch, or destroy this than it is, 2 to 3 pieces of 8.5 by 11 paper. Number 4. Some kind of good, high-quality D&D related notebook. I've said this before in the past in a variety of different ways, but I do feel like I don't like using a spiral-bound notebook or something like that. I like to have a dedicated D&D notebook, and I often find this is just something, maybe things are changed, maybe they've advanced spiral notebook technology, but I like something bound, whether it be a marble notebook or otherwise, because I feel like I always end up losing sheets out of a spiral-bound notebook. Plus, there are a lot of really awesome things that you can get specifically tied to D&D, or a variety of different options, ones that look cool, ones that are more functional. In the past, I've often mentioned Moleskine notebooks, and I do like them, but they are a little on the pricier side, and there are plenty of alternatives that work. I also really like the stuff from the folks at 1985 Games. They provide these here. You can see, unfortunately, it looks like some of these are sold out. They even also have these sticky pads I'm noticing here for spell trackers and stuff, which is pretty cool. But they have, in a variety of different color options here, they have these Heroes journals, which are basically player notebooks. They also have DM versions as well that you can order, again, like I said, typically in a variety of different colors, and you get 3 in kind of a pack. And if we were to kind of scroll over and look, you'll see they do have inside a variety of different things for tracking your character sheets, as well as, specific notes tied to this specific campaign. So I really like these. I think they're also going to be at PAX Unplugged. If you're there, you may be able to pick some up in person. I also found these from Comics. These, again, and there's even a coupon available right now to get $4 off. These are 8 of them in a variety of different, kind of high vibrancy colors for $46. Again, there's currently a deal to get them down from their normal price of $60, and this coupon that's available as we speak, there also looks to be a 6-pack that you can get of all black. And if you want the 8-pack, and that'll take you down to $34. Looks like you still will be able to get that $4 coupon if that's still available by the time you're watching this video. But these are just like a nice kind of, again, a Moleskine alternative. They do have the ribbon bookmark, and they are lined. And again, it's just something you could do to take your various notes on or what have you. Again, like I said, I like these. I also seem to like the smaller format for whatever reason. Not your traditional, like, notebook-sized notebook. I seem to like the smaller ones, and I do think that's... I don't know, I really don't know why. For taking D&D notes, I always like a smaller notebook, which seems counterintuitive, but I feel like with my character sheet, or possibly a tablet or a laptop, having a smaller thing that I can just kind of pull off to the side to scribble notes down, I seem to prefer. And then I also, we mentioned our friends over at Lynx Gaming. They also have this really, really fancy D&D notebook here with a 3D bronze, embossed dragon on the front here, and it even comes with a pen. You can see here, again, it's about that same size. And then you can see the inside, it's kind of, there's 2 parchment tones you can get, either parchment color or white. And you can see here's a variety of different things. And you can see there's a silver dragon option. We had the bronze there, and then there's also a phoenix. So these are just really cool. I mean, they're about as functional as any of the other notebooks we've talked about. They just have a really unique, cool-looking cover, which, again, if you're looking for a statement piece or something to stand out, or perhaps you want to have a notebook themed to your specific character, maybe one character's a little more ostentatious, so they'd have a notebook like this. That's up to you. I'll put all links to all 3 in the video description. Number 3. Pens. I always talk about pens and how I feel like a good notebook and a good pen makes, and maybe that's me, maybe that's just how I was raised, but I see a lot of you feel like this. I don't know if it's a neurodivergency, I don't know what it is, but to me, a good pen and a good notebook can honestly make or break, at least as from a DM perspective, 100%. If I have like a crappy pen or like not a good pencil and like just random notes, I just can't get into the headspace of doing the design. But a nice, smooth pen that flows nicely over a good, solid notebook makes all the difference in the world to me, and it can, like, it'll literally make or break the DM planning session for me. Also, I feel the same way about taking notes as a player. If I'm not really enjoying that experience of the pen to paper, and I can't do typing notes. I mean, I do it all the time for work, but for D&D, it just feels right to write everything down. I don't know why that is. And my personal favorite pen of choice right now are these Sharpie S-Gel pens. I used to be a big fan of the Pilot G2 pens, but the Sharpie S-Gel are my pen of choice. I prefer the 1.0 millimeter on the pen, and they come in a variety of colors, as you can see here. You can get them in black, blue, red, green, and purple. I also like to buy them in multiple colors, because if I'm doing things like maybe I want to annotate something different in my notes from a DM perspective, I could, even if I just have like a black and a blue pen, that can make all the difference between, like, blue might be box text, or I might write something in blue, so like, hey, that's a monster stat blocker. Here's where you wanted to insert that magic item. And the variety of different colors can just be a simple way for you to do that without having to come up with a kind of iconography system or doing anything crazy, especially if you're doing all things handwritten. Like I said, if you are somebody who does all of this stuff digitally, then maybe some other digital tool set like Notion or what have you would be a better option. But for me, it's all about the pen and paper. Number 2. Character commissioned art. Now, I don't really have anything to show off here specifically, and I don't really have any particular artist in mind to reference. I do know there is a fantastic artists community for Dungeons and Dragons in a variety of different places, whether that be something like Twitter or Reddit or TikTok or whatever you use. There are people out there, especially around the holidays for sure, usually opening up their commissions to help pay for bills or Christmas presents or what have you, they're usually artists looking for work around this time of the year. And one of the nicest, best things anyone can do is if you have, whether you be a DM, a player for, another player, whatever you want to do, getting somebody art made of their character is just, it blows anyone's mind. It is and you don't necessarily have to go out of your way and pay somebody who's gonna, make this a fantastic oil painting. And it also depends on the style, right? Too, and you can get it from a variety of different artists in a variety of different price ranges. The only thing I ask is you don't go around trying to lowball these artists, right? They know what they're worth. They have a price for commissions, and it might be X, Y, or Z. If you're looking to get somebody art, not only get your friend or dungeon master, significant other, whatever, the art for them, do yourself a favor and also make the artist's day by making that process very smooth. You'll make their holiday as well if you just tell them what you want to do, they give you a price, and you don't try to haggle them and negotiate them, you just pay it. Obviously, if you're pleased with the art that they show up with at the end, but yeah, I mean, you could even do something like a Fiverr and hire somebody to make custom art that way. But there are so many other, like I said, D&D specific creators that make awesome art. And I know we had at one point one of my players in one of my campaigns custom ordered art for the entire party as well as me as the dungeon master in it. And that was still one of the nicest things anyone's done for me. No one talked about it. She just went out of her way and did that for everybody because she loved the game so much. And you want to talk about something that makes you feel so much, you want to talk about feeling loved and appreciated as a dungeon master. This player on her own dime decided to get art commissioned of everybody, including me, right? It would have been very easy to just get art of the 4 characters, but she included me in there. And that just, I don't know, you can see I can't even really talk about it. It's still and blown away by that, and that was really, really awesome. So and that's another thing too, right? You can get dungeon master art, right? So even if you're the player and you want to reward your DM, however you want to come up with that, whether it's the art of a specific NPC that they do that you really like, or just them as a dungeon master, with the cloak or with dice or whatever you want to do, custom art is, again, it can be very expensive. And depending, like I said, on the style, whether it's colorized line art, multiple characters, backgrounds, and things like that. But it is one of the most, I guarantee you, whoever you would get custom art for will be just absolutely thrilled by it. And I recommend you record their reaction when you give it to them. It's usually it's always worth it. So anyway, look out for, and again, feel free if you're an artist, and you're watching this video, feel free to link your portfolio, or wherever you do commissions, if you've got commissions opens in the description, so folks can, head out and find you there and try to maybe get something set up before, I know you only have so much time between now and the holidays, so maybe I can help get you guys some work. Number 1. And lastly, run or play a game. Those are the best options. And I said it last year when I made this video, and I don't think I will ever not make this the number 1 option. If somebody, maybe you know somebody who's a forever DM, and they only ever get to be the dungeon master for one reason or another. And, they might come to you and talk to you about how, they probably have this story that they want to tell you about this great time that they had the one time they, whenever they got to play or what have you, or how they always wanted to play this character, but they never get to because they're forever DM or whatever. If you say, hey, I got you a Christmas present, and they say, oh, what'd you get me? And you say, hey, I want to run a game for you. Even if it's only a one-shot and you do something like take the responsibility of running the game away from the person who always does that, and say, here's the parameters for the one shot, go wild. We're going to play this one shot, or maybe it's a mini, whatever you decide to do. Maybe it starts off as a one shot and then it becomes a mini campaign and you find out that you enjoyed DMing when you'd never done it before. But the best gift you can give to a Dungeons and Dragons player is literally the gift of D&D. Whether that's, hey, I know you haven't been able to play in a game for a while. I'll run a game for you. Why don't you, whether that's you deciding, to take, like I said, to take the DMing responsibility away from somebody who normally does it. Reaching out to a friend who hasn't had a chance to play in a while and be like, hey, I know you haven't played and I know you love D&D. I got a campaign. Maybe we can slot you into our regular game, or we'll make up a fun one shot, or whatever you want to do. Or maybe you're the significant other who's always been, or friend or family member who's always been kind of wary about the concept of D&D, and whoever it is, your partner, your brother, your father, whatever, your sister who plays D&D all the time and is always very passionate about it and always talking about it, and you never gone out of your way to kind of play, and you might say, you know what, I think it'd be kind of fun if could I play in one of your games? And that is another one of those things that will usually blow their mind, right? I've experienced this myself. I play D&D, or at least I run D&D, and occasionally get to play relatively often, especially since 5th edition launched. I've pretty much always had some form of D&D thing happening. I had some off years there in the 3.5 time frame, but either way, and my wife doesn't really play. She doesn't really have any much, interest in D&D. Obviously, she does because she supports me and the channel and everything else. But like as far as Dungeons and Dragons go, she doesn't really go out of her way to like listen or play. But there were a couple times where I was like, hey, I'm gonna try to put this game together, and I was working on something, and then she's like, oh, I'll play. Sure, do you need somebody else? I'll play. And that like it sometimes it kind of you do a double take. You're like, wait, seriously? Are you what? You'll play? And she's like, oh yeah, it's fine. It's a one shot. It's whatever. I'll play. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Oh, here's what I'm thinking for a character, and it just is like that could be one of the best gifts so you give to somebody, is let them be a DM for you, or invite somebody into your game when they didn't have one or they were kind of unsure, or start a game for new people entirely, right? Be a DM for an entirely group of brand new players who've never played before. Then you might set them on a journey where now they're playing D&D all the time. And like I said, I mean, it's the season of giving, right? That's what it's all about. So giving the gift of Dungeons and Dragons in some form. Well, yes, material products and things like we've talked about for the other numbers on this list are nice things to have. They improve the way you play the game. They improve the way you interact with things, or keep track of things, or protect, different things, or just, a fun board game like Trivial Pursuit. But getting somebody the ability to play D&D is just, I don't know, it's just the best. And if you question that, I challenge you to think about what situation you're in. And if somebody was just like, hey, I'll run a game for you, or hey, can you come play in this game? I'd love it if you played in this game with me. How would that make you feel? I'm sure it'd make you feel pretty good. And then and then you can kind of just do one of those, perpetuate it and move it forward. Now, there are options out there too. I'd be remiss if I didn't say things like startplaying.games is a website out there where you can find professional dungeon masters to run games for you, and it's probably also a really good way to get into the game if you haven't played in a game before. You're saying, hey, I want to play, but I don't know where to go, and you're kind of trying to find people. Well, hiring a professional DM or GM to do that is, that's what they're paid to do. So that might be another way to get about this, right? You're like, how do I want to give somebody the gift of D&D? Well, maybe you hire a professional GM to run a game for you, them, and whoever else, a group of your friends. And then that could also be something really good, right? You have a group of 5 friends and it's always a rotating DM or who's going to do it. And you say, hey, I'll pay a professional GM to run us through a one shot for 3 hours. And now we can all play together with somebody else as the DM. And you set that whole thing up, and then the biggest part from all of that'll just be finding the scheduling time to get everybody together to play. So there you go, folks. That is my top 10 gifts for your D&D player in your life for this holiday season of 2022. I'm sure I'm going to be continuing to do this every year because everybody always has questions and wants to know what they can get their D&D player out there. Let me know if you want to see any more of this. I do have some friends in the industry that have a variety of different products that their companies offer, so you may see some more stuff coming out between now and the end of the year, highlighting products from specific creators. But I'm curious, is there anything else you'd like to see? I mean, once in the past, I had done like top 10 IRL accessories for players and then one for DMs specifically. This was just kind of a generalized gift guide. But if you want to see something a little more specific for players or dungeon masters, or perhaps like streamer, content creator, actual play person, let me know. The sooner you guys can tell me that in the comments, the faster I can try to make a video so that it'll actually still be useful for this holiday season. But anyway, thank you to my patrons over on Patreon for continuing to support me and the channel. If you happen to be at PAX Unplugged this weekend, please come and find me. I'll be posting on social media and things like that. I've been trying to see what I can do about gathering people together for some form of get-together. Unfortunately, the time frame is I'm less than 3 days away, really, or 3-4 days away at this point. So I may end up just like buying a bunch of cookies and coffee and like posting up in some spot in the convention center and be like, hey, I'm here with food and coffee. Come find me and let's hang out. Have some cookies. I don't know. We'll see. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.